Hello.
Hello, Wayne.
Hello.
We all know each other, even if it's just in a social setting as well, and in a work setting for me. But so we've invited you along to come and talk about whatever you want to talk about, really.
Yeah.
On the podcast.
On the podcast. As you know, I don't know if you...
There you go.
There you go.
You probably know the podcast has been born from the charity, really. So Somewhere House Somerset, which, as you know, specialises in working with people with mental health. And we provide a counselling service as well as doing school talks and various other bits and pieces. So, and lots of people want to talk about mental health, but that's not necessarily our subject, if you see what I'm saying. People just talk about life. So I'm going to ask you a few questions just to get you warmed up, really.
Okay.
So what do you do for a living?
What do I do for a little while? Work at Somewhere House.
Yeah.
I'm a recovery support worker, looking after the aftercare guys who've moved on from the main house.
Yeah.
And I've been working for 7 months. Is it 7 months you employed me, I think? I think it's gone really quick, if I'm honest. Really quick.
Do you like it?
In the beginning, I found it really intense.
Yeah.
And if I'm brutally honest, there was moments where I thought, this is not for me.
Yeah, yeah.
And now I love it. Absolutely love it. Since I changed my attitude towards it, I love it. Yeah.
I think it's quite a demanding position, whatever, because you're dealing with people's lives. When you're dealing with people's, and it's life or death, it is quite emotionally demanding as well as physically demanding in that sense.
Yeah, I mean, it's there's some days I walk out of that building and it's just like,
whoa.
Just I come out the door and it's just like my head is just feels like it's going to explode. Yeah, and I just have to get used to leaving everything at the door and just going home and dealing with my business rather than just kind of taking it home.
And is that something you've had to learn to do in those 7 months?
I mean, it's something in my previous employment. I worked with some quite heavy clients with some heavy issues. So kind of it's something I've learned to do and I'm able to do that. I'm able to put aside what I think quite easily. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's some days you come out and could I have done better? Should I have done that? You know, when someone leaves or should I have said this? But no, I find it quite easy to do that, to just leave it at the door, really. Yeah.
That's good.
I think you have to, though, don't you? Because otherwise you'd end up in a neurosis that you'd never get out of, and you're pulling your hair out all the time, and you're so preoccupied you don't have another life. It completely would take over. That's why one of the reasons why I ride a horse. I find that so kind of takes me completely out of everything, because when you're sat on top of a half-a-ton beast and it's completely got its own mind and its own will, you've got to concentrate on everything that you do. And I don't think about work at all, like absolutely at all. It is purely, I'm on a horse.
Yeah, and there's something in that. I mean, I go walking, kind of just go hiking, and there's something in just, for me, getting out in nature and just kind of being mindful in the moment with my dog, not being around people. There's just something that happens for me, and it's my escape, really. And it just it gives you some sort of freedom, right? You know, when you're riding the horse, it's kind of, there's some freedom. I'm in the moment.
Yeah.
I'm not thinking about work or thinking about what I've got to do tomorrow. I'm kind of there.
Yeah. And you've got the dog as well, haven't you?
Yes.
Which makes a difference too.
Yeah, because I just love getting out with her.
It's funny, because you did that big walk the other day up Breen.
Yes.
Yeah, and we took the horses up there a week after. We galloped up the sands, and I was thinking about you at the time, and I thought, wow, it is such a beautiful thing to do, to have the ability to be able to go and enjoy nature in whatever form, whether it's just walking, whether it's just on a horse, whether it's whatever, whether it's on your own or with an animal. It's just a beautiful thing to actually experience. And also seeing all the different mediums around you, you know, like, I mean, I'd love to do a sculpture of the stuff the crap that you find on the beach. You know, I think it would be, I remember going to a country once, and I don't know where it was, that they had these massive great sculptures that they made out of all the debris that came out on the beach. And I thought, oh, do you know, I reckon it's something that we could do, really. But it's just so lovely. It's beautiful, absolutely stunning. It's a stunning opportunity. So have you got kids or anything?
I've got 4 children.
Right.
ranging from 26 to 13. So there's quite a range of. I know, yeah.
How old are you?
I'm 49. In fact,
Don't look that old.
I'll take that. I'll take that.
It's because he's got no hair that's grey.
Yeah, that's probably it.
I'm getting some grey
beard.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I kind of think it doesn't really look. You're ginger, aren't you? You're like me.
Yes. Yeah.
Were you ginger on top?
No. So
But you've got really light.
I was kind of like Mike's colour hair.
You really got light coloured eyebrows as well, whereas I've got dark eyebrows and I've been a ginger all my life, if you see what I'm saying. I've never changed my colour. But your beard is very gingery, kind of gingery.
I quite like it.
Yeah, it's almost golden rather than
it is golden.
grey.
White. Or grey, yeah.
I'm waiting for it to go grey so I can be called the Silver Fox.
What's your name? Dave Clark?
No.
That's what he calls himself.
Yeah, so I'm 49. I'm 50 in a month and a half, roughly.
Oh, wow.
Big
Party?
5-0.
I don't know what I'm going to do yet. I'm going to try and organise something, but and I never thought I'd make 50 if I'm honest.
No. Yeah. Because of your lifestyle, your previous lifestyle.
Yeah. There was a time where I didn't think I'd make 30 if I'm honest.
Yeah.
So to be able to get to this now is it's an achievement, to be honest with you.
It's really good.
Yeah.
So can I say why you're saying that or not?
Yeah, so to be honest with you, Angie, I'm an open book regarding my issues, especially if it can help someone else as well, if I'm honest.
So you've been in recovery for how long now?
So coming up for 4.5 years now.
And but you had a spell of recovery before, didn't you?
Before that, I had 7.5 years and then relapsed for 6 years, yeah.
Oh, gosh. And I'm in recovery as well. So is that, I kind of look at that and it frightens the living hell out of me, the thought of ever going back to that hell, if you see what I'm saying. And I always wonder why people you might not agree with what I'm going to say, but choose to do that. Why would you choose to go back to the hell that you already know what it's like? Does that make sense?
Yeah. I mean, what I came to realise is that, so when I first got clean, I didn't have a life to look back on and say, oh, I've lost this, I've lost that, because I never had anything.
Right.
Do you understand what I mean? So,
I do.
So from the age of 15 all the way through to when I've got clean, I never managed anything or never got anything or never achieved anything. So then when I was clean for them 7.5 years, I achieved some stuff.
Yeah.
Partner, children, house, job,
Right, okay.
So then when I relapsed, and then for them 6 years that I was using, I just was looking back on what I'd lost, when the first time I didn't have anything to look back on, if you understand what I mean.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, I don't agree with my kind of, I think my standpoint with the choosing aspect. I don't believe I chose to use. I believe I chose not to do the right things. I access support and kind of access meetings and whatever, access that kind of stuff. And then at some point, I just kind of, I used.
But isn't, and I mean, I know you and I have had this discussion before, but isn't that as soon as you stop doing those things? So I know if there's certain things that I stop doing, I am actually electing to go back to my old life. Yeah. So in a sense, it's a choice that I don't necessarily want to admit that I'm going to take, but it is a choice that I would be taking. And I don't know about what you think, but on the every alcohol advert that's on the telly at the moment, and now they're going, oh, and you can have an alcohol-free version of it, and it's like,
why would you want to do that?
Well, that it's a bit of torture, isn't it? Isn't it? Do you not feel that? Because I feel a little bit like that they're trying to torture you by saying, well, you can taste the gin, but you can't actually have the. I don't know. I've
had friends who came out of rehab and they're like sat in a pub with their buddies that they used to drink with, drinking non-alcoholic beer. Why would you want to do that? It's like taking heroin without heroin in it.
Yeah.
It's just like, why?
It's a bit odd, isn't it? But I think it's all about the marketing. It's, these alcohol companies that are targeting people that don't drink because maybe they're in recovery or because they're the driver or whatever it might be. And it's just very expensive, whatever it is. Non-alcoholic
fizzy
beer,
water.
Yeah, exactly.
A bit of flavouring it, yeah.
Yeah, it's a bit odd. I was chatting to a friend a little while ago about this drink in America, which I think it looks a bit like a Monster Energy drink can. I've forgotten what it's called now, but it's got a sort of a rock related name. I'm sure I'll find it in the back of my memory somewhere. But it's the can looks like a can of beer, but it's actually just water.
Really?
And yeah, and this company has made millions and millions of dollars basically selling canned water that looks like a can of beer, because people want they want everybody else that's looking at them to think they're drinking beer, and it's literally just water. It's just water.
But I can understand. I understand that pressure though, because I don't know if you get it at all. I mean, obviously, I do a reasonable amount of socialising, and most of my friends know that I don't drink, so they don't even go there. It's not. They generally know that I'll have a Diet Coke if I'm going to drink anything, or it's just tap water. But there are some people who forget, and then they want to buy you a vodka, or they want to buy you this, or they want to buy you that. And I can understand there's a level of peer pressure from certain groups of people who kind of have an expectation that you're going to drink alcohol of some kind. And I think this time of the year in particular, so like, you go out to a pub and or you go out to a restaurant and they have the wine glasses, and they always leave 90% of the time they leave my wine glass there. And I think, well, I'm not even going to drink out of it, so why just take it away, please? But it's like that. There's an expectation that everybody at that table is going to have a glass of wine. Yeah. There's not an expectation that everybody's going to have a glass of water. They do put water glasses out, but 9 times out of 10, you have to ask for the water glass.
You do, yeah.
Rather than actually being on the table. So it's just...
And then they bring over a jug, which fills everybody's glass of water. The jug's then empty. Yeah. That always makes me laugh.
Yeah. And then they don't refill it, yeah. So do you ever feel that pressure?
I mean, I went out for my college Christmas do the other night.
Uh-huh.
And I don't feel the pressure because a few of them were drinking. But what I've found is that people think because I don't drink, I'm going to be boring. Do you know what I mean? Or I'm going to be no fun because I don't drink.
Yeah.
And I can have fun without alcohol. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
And I think it's quite amusing as well because a couple of them got quite hammered, and I was just watching her kind of. I mean, it was funny, but it was just
the wrong kind of funny.
Yeah, I mean, it's just. And I just think that I'm glad I don't do that. You know, I go out clubbing regularly.
Where'd you go?
Where did I go? I went to Bristol last week to see the Stanton Warriors. So I pick where I go. I won't just go.
What's the Stanton Warriors?
So it's like breakbeat music.
Oh, right.
So I won't just go out clubbing
for the sake of it.
I will research DJs, go on, research their music. I'm really, I don't watch telly. I just kind of listen to music, and I'm really into my music. So I research them and find out if they're any good, and then I'll spend the week listening to all their SoundCloud mixes, and then I'll get a ticket for that. So I've been to quite a few gigs.
OCD there.
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
I like that.
A common theme of our podcast, isn't it? A bit of people with OCD. We have quite a lot.
Yeah.
Go on, sorry, I interrupted
that's all right.
you.
So what I've noticed is when I go out, I've noticed that, so I'm dancing till 5 a.m, and everyone's absolutely ruined, hammered. And I don't mean just drunk. I mean kind of wasted on whatever substance. And I just think none of these are going to remember this night whatsoever the next day.
No.
And I go out with guys in recovery, and we all kind of, if one of us wants to tap out, we all tap out. Do you know what I mean? I've got these guys are quite staunch. They've got a number of years behind them, so I don't just kind of go out with anybody. And I love it. I love going out dancing, and I know why I'm there. I'm there for the music. I'm not there trying to kind of get a bit of old pleasure of how it used to be, because I never did that anyway, Angie.
Yeah.
And it's like that when. Sometimes my mind can go, a drink would be nice. Go to the pub, have a beer, that'd be nice. I never went to the pub and had a beer. That was not my drinking.
Yeah.
Park bench, drinking a can of cider at 7 o'clock in the morning. Not, my mind can romanticise it, which I just laugh about that. But I love going out dancing. I love it.
Yeah, I never socially drank. People didn't even know I drank.
Yeah.
I never socially drank. But I understand. But I mean, obviously, because of what Will does for a living, I've done quite a lot of nightclubs in recovery, because when he was younger, he wasn't old enough and had to have his parents with him, so I had no choice but to go. And then over the years, we've just obviously followed him around various different places. But like you, everybody around, I just love going for a good dance. And like we went to Bristol recently, didn't we?
But it was Motion. Yeah.
I didn't go down and dance for that one.
You stood up there.
I stood up there and watched it from the thing, but I still love it. I still love that environment, and actually, I don't care that other people are around me, off their trolleys, doing what they're doing. It doesn't bother me in the slightest. In fact, I remember many years ago, Will was playing at Motion, same place as he was the other week, and there was a guy there, and I danced all night on the dance floor. I was literally on the dance floor all night. And this guy was dancing with me on the dance. It was off his head, absolutely. But he was having a ball. We were having a ball, just dancing together. And I thought, gosh, if somebody was looking at this that wanted to judge people in recovery, would they judge that in a positive manner? Would they judge that in a negative manner? It's a bit like you saying, right, we're going out. You're not going to get home till 3 or 4 in the morning. You know that, and I know that. But because you've got that kind of, if somebody wants to go, we all go. Yeah. We all look after each other, and it's a bit like that. If we go out on a social event and I need to go because it's not appropriate and I feel the need to go, I will just say, and we'll all go.
Yeah.
People don't, bye, leave you on your own outside the nightclub or outside the bar or the restaurant or whatever. We all go. And that's how it is. But I think that's a really nice way of doing it. So what if, obviously you've got children, you've got a life, you've got a job.
You've got a dog.
You've got a dog. What's the dog called? Yeah, I was going to say, I can't remember
Luna.
Luna. Why Luna?
Well, I mean, the story, so I'm looking for a dog, and I'm I quite like big, mastiff type dogs, so I'm looking for this mastiff type dog, and I'm searching on, where you're looking on, wherever you buy them from. And they're so $3,000 and just ridiculous prices. Yeah. And then I just come across this Springer Spaniel cross Dalmatian, just sat in this picture, just looking so sad, just looking just pathetic, if I'm honest. And her face looked like, when you look up at the moon.
Yeah.
And you got like the clouds. Her face looks like that. And that's the one. She's the one.
How old was she when you got her?
3 months old.
Oh.
And we went camping down in the New Forest for the week, and it just so happened that she was just up the road from the New Forest. So it's like it's meant to be, maybe, I don't know. And to be honest with you, when how a dog fits an owner. So I love this. I love water. I need to be near water. I always live near water, and I'll swim whenever. I'm kind of in the sea at 6 a.m. and I just will always swim. As soon as she got near water, she just dives in there.
Oh.
So in the summer I'd be finishing work, and if the tide wasn't in, I'd go and pick her up, drive to the nearest river, and we'd both jump in the river, and we'd both swimming down the river together.
Oh wow.
She loves hiking. She just fits me like a glove, if I'm honest.
That's so nice.
She's soulmate.
She fills with joy, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
Just, yeah.
Because you've got a cocker, haven't you?
I've got a cocker spaniel. Yeah. He's a big baby, really, because he doesn't like being left on his own. He likes to sleep all day. He likes his cuddles. He does like going for a walk.
Reminds me of you, actually.
I don't sleep all day.
No, but you know how your dogs... No, you don't, but you're quite a relaxed, that kind of guy.
Yeah.
And it's a bit like you said, they match.
Your
dogs very often match you, don't they?
They do. And, he's lovely, but he is like a big baby. Yeah, he doesn't like being on his own, which, to be fair, I don't like being on my own. I like going out and seeing people and doing things, so it kind of fits.
Yeah.
We've got 3 dogs at the moment because James has gone on holiday.
Oh.
We've got an extra dog, which we're trying to get to lose weight while it's with us. We've put it on a strict diet because it's really fat.
It also jumps over your gate
and
as
it jumps over the gate. Well, we took the barrier down that we put up to stop her from jumping over the gate. For some reason, Dave took it down. But she will jump over, but she will jump back now. So she knows she's not allowed to go anywhere. And that one's a beagle cross. I mean, honestly, she's really well trained for a beagle, because beagles can be little terrors, they can absolutely terrorise the place. But the Springers just take it in their stride, they kind of, Molly's here again, do you know what I mean? And it's a bit like that. But I don't know if our dogs are like me. Are my dogs like me? I don't know. Mad?
Your dogs are very different, aren't they?
Yeah, they're outdoor dogs.
They're outdoor dogs. They're sort of farm dogs, working dogs type thing. So I think it's a bit different.
I do like having them around. I miss them when we don't have dogs.
Yeah.
We always have two springers. We always try and have 2 springers. We need to get 2 more this year because these 2 are on the way out, really. And their expiration years rather than their childhood years.
Okay.
So how old's Luna?
She's 18 months and she's like, so she's very, shiny and, look at just constant, needs a lot of attention.
So she Dalmatian Cocker?
Yeah, cross Springer Spaniel.
Dalmatian Springer Spaniel.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
I mean,
Dalmatians are hard work ordinarily, aren't they?
When we was going to get...
They need a lot of exercise as well, Dalmatians. So I imagine that's why she loves going out and walking and swimming and all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, we was warned when we was going to don't do it. It's going to be hard work, and I've had to put a lot of hours into her. And she's just getting it. When they have their moments of like, fuck you.
Yeah.
So, that kind of thing.
Yeah,
she has moments like that, but I'm constantly walking around with chicken in my pocket. And I made a rod for my
You smell
back
nice.
yeah, but constantly
just
kind of affirming her good behaviour. So she's getting it.
Yeah, but it takes a long time to train a dog properly. Yeah. I mean, our dogs are very well trained, but I mean, but occasionally, even now, and I think they're 11, so Oliver's 11, so they're 11, coming up 12, and they, occasionally, I have to, like, put them back in their place. It's very rare, but occasionally they might just have to kind of go back to basics. But, it's so important to get it right in the first 3 years. It takes about a good 3.5 years to train a dog properly.
Yeah.
People give up too quickly, I think, sometimes, and then that's when the dog becomes disruptive.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's nothing worse than having an unruly dog that just doesn't recall. It's just soul destroying.
Yeah. Well, it's no fun, is it?
No, the walk is awful. Yeah. I mean, when I first got her, we go, because I'm blessed to live.
Yeah, you live in
50 metres away from the beach.
Yeah.
Oh, lovely.
Come out my front door and I've got a little gate, open the gate and I'm on the beach. So in the summer I'd go down there and she was not trained properly and I'd made the mistake of letting her off the lead. She's in picnics, eating people's sandwiches, running off down it was just, it's awful. Just running off with like a 4-pack of sandwiches in cellophane in her mouth.
Nice.
Chewing it and the guy's screaming at me, what's going on here? Yeah, not great.
Oops.
Yeah.
What do you do in that situation?
Pretend it's not your dog.
Apologise. My first initial reaction is, what's wrong with you, buddy? Get over yourself. That's my first thought, but then you wouldn't think that was my first thought, and then obviously I apologise.
Yeah.
It's not great, is it?
No.
It's not. It feels really uncomfortable. It's really embarrassing. And I went on holiday and my friend looked after her and she's still not great with other people giving her recall. And she ran into someone's tent and just caused carnage. And he's just stood there just like, I'm sorry. Yeah, so.
That reminds me of nephew at the school, was always in trouble at the school and was once again up to being expelled. This is Kieran. Right. And you've got the head teacher, the deputy head. I can't remember her name. She wasn't the most pleasant lady. Marshall. But yeah, Mrs. Marshall.
I got on with her really well.
Mrs. Marshall once again got Kieran and James Gardner was in there as well. Do you remember James Gardner?
I don't know that name.
Really lovely boy. And they were in the naughty room again. She goes in and she says, what am I going to do with you two? And she said, so what have you got to say about yourselves? And Kieran turned and went, sorry. And they were like in there every day. Do you know what I mean? It wasn't like, and they used to run away from school. They were really naughty boys, actually, like your dog. So obviously you're in a career of working with people in recovery and you're in recovery yourself. How does that impact on your recovery being in the same industry, if you see what I'm saying? Is that something that kind of floats your boat now, or is it something that you think is a career for you or not?
I mean, I've just been I don't know, Angie, if I'm honest. I don't know if I want to work in addiction. Mm-hmm. I found out yesterday that I've been accepted for my level 4. I passed the interview. So I don't know. Thank you. So I don't know. I just... I mean, sometimes, I do meetings, I sponsor other addicts, my pals are addicts, and sometimes it can be all
addicts.
Just everything's about recovery. So that's, it's nice to be around normal people and not speak about 12 steps or this or that. So it can be a bit. I mean, I found it, because what work. I don't talk the 12 steps or anything like that because that's not. I don't need to. Yeah. I'll talk about some principles: honesty, integrity, discipline, and all that stuff. But so I've kind of got a balance of. So when I'm at a meeting, I'm there for a reason. When I'm at work, I'm there for a reason.
Yeah.
I seem to be able to do that quite well. But yeah, I don't know if it's where I want to be in years to come.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know where I want to be, to be honest with you, Angie.
But isn't that the thing about recovery and dealing with your mental health and various other businesses? Because very often we're encouraged to hang around with each other. If you've got a mental health, stick with the winners, do all of that. But in actual fact, it can be all encompassing. It takes over everything. And I didn't do that. I kind of was really careful and didn't have friends in recovery as such, and still only have a couple of people in recovery that I mean, obviously I have it at work, but it's in my private life, I don't really have many people that are in recovery at all in my life. I'm there if people want me to be there. Don't get me wrong, I wouldn't hesitate to help somebody, but I think that it's that balance, isn't it, about everything? When do you stop having all of your friends are in recovery and you expand your world into a different kind of world?
Yeah, I mean, when I first got clean, that was it. I just surrounded myself, but I surrounded myself with the right people. Yeah, if it's because I wouldn't spend time with people who are not very well, who are sick or acting out. I don't want you in my life. If you're going to be like, that's not where I'm going. That's not what I want to be. And that's the same today. I have people in my life who are kind of staunch in recovery. They're moving forward with their lives. They're kind of not sitting around doing the coffee shop recovery thing. They're moving forward with their lives. They're at college, they're starting work, they're in employment, their year's clean. So in the early days, but then I thought, well, how do you meet normal people?
Well, we are normal, but we're just normal in our world, aren't we? Yeah, but I know what you mean.
Kind of straight goers then. So I mean, how do you do that?
Well, I suppose for me, horses, husband who's not in recovery. That's why I would never be in a relationship with somebody in recovery. I just don't think there's enough space to have two selfish people. I do feel really strongly about that. Well, also you get, I think you're taught to be open your mouth and not keep stuff in. So I think that can be another thing, detrimental thing in a relationship if you're with somebody in recovery. And for me, it's been volunteering and giving back in the community in a different way. So I was quite heavily involved with Cubs and Scouts. I did a lot of voluntary work that way. And so therefore I met people that way and socialised with them. And then I was chairman of the rugby club. The rugby club was going to go tits up, so I kind of stepped in and took over and brought it back to where it needed to be. So I've always done things like that. And then, and. So therefore I've spread my wings outside of like fellowship or people in recovery, so I've got a different kind of life. And I suppose the people, if I think about my very close friends, most of them are nothing to do with, I just met them randomly. Well, it's like you.
Yeah.
It was a random chance meeting, wasn't it? It wasn't anything, we didn't just, and that
I was warned not to be your friend.
Yeah, I'm sure you were. Most people are, don't worry.
Which made me want to become your friend even more.
Yeah.
I mean, there's something in hobbies, right? I mean, I got into hobbies really quick, and I'll always encourage the guys that I work with.
Yeah.
What are you doing for fun?
So what is your hobbies other than walking and the dog?
So I go kayaking.
Oh yeah.
Last year I went kayaking around the Jurassic Coast. Threw my tent in the kayak. Went kayaking along. Camped on this little beach that no human could get to because of the cliffs.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then kayaked for 2 days around Durdle Door.
Did you take the dog?
I was just about to say.
No, this was before I had the dog. Right. So this was not last year, the year before.
Durdle Door's lovely. It is beautiful.
I've got some cracking pictures. The only thing that spoiled it when I got to Durdle Door was as soon as you get round the head
corner,
I just looked and the beach was just
jam-packed
of people, and there was a queue for them to get down.
Wow. Really?
So I saw it from the other side. Then I went round the door, and then it was just quiet again.
Yeah.
And I went through the door. It was just absolutely stunning.
Wow, that does sound amazing. So you're going to try and train the dog now to sit in the kayak with you?
Well, I need to get a different kayak,
a bigger one,
so she can sit in it. That's next year's goal.
Nice.
I do Wing Chun, which is martial arts.
Okay.
What? Wing Chun?
Yes, it's. Saying that I haven't been for a few weeks, but it's what Bruce Lee did. So it's a martial arts where you don't have to be strong, and it's not based on size. It's not based on muscle. It's it's fluid. And
is it contactless or contact?
So we don't spar because all the strikes are to throat, eyes, nose, groin, knees, and it's kind of like it's
quite physical.
Yeah, so we don't.
You kill people.
I don't personally because I'm not that good at it.
But you could if you
people who've done it could. Yeah. It's and I did a lot of volunteer work as well. When I'm a great believer on that. As soon as I came out of treatment, straight into some volunteer work, and I just did that, and I've always done that, and I think this is the time since working that I haven't done any voluntary work. And I loved it.
What did you do?
So at first I did a charity shop thing, lasted a day, not for me. And then I went to Holyhead Animal Sanctuary. Yeah. My partner's sister was the cattery manager there. So I went there first to walk dogs. And then they kind of said, well, do you want to kind of be the handyman and do this and do that and garden it? So I just was up there for a whole year every Wednesday. Oh, nice. And I was so happy, weeding and clearing up, and then they needed a patio doing, so I got a few of the guys into recovery, and we all went down there and made the patio, and that was just great. And then after that, I worked for an organisation called Circle Southwest, which is an organisation that works with sex offenders. So I worked in the bit where it's under 16s who've committed harmful sexual behaviour. So every week, me and a couple of other volunteers would sit down with a young guy, take him for coffee, take him down the snooker club, and kind of just try and emulate how to behave and how to be a proper person.
I know what you mean. Appropriate.
And kind of did that until I volunteered until I worked with you guys.
Wow.
And that was, it was challenging. This kind of guy was 15 and he'd kind of done some stuff that, but my motivation for it was that if I could steer him on the right path, I just used to think, if he doesn't commit any more offences, because this could be his first ever offence on the path of offending, that all the victims that I can save.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good way to look at it.
And that was my motivation for that. And plus, in my previous job, I've experience of working with sex offenders anyway, so I'm able to do that. I'm able to put aside.
So why did you not carry that on?
Because of work. Because it was at 6 o'clock every Monday night, and I finished work at 6 o'clock, and it just wasn't feasible.
Right. Okay.
It just wasn't.
You couldn't change the time then.
They changed the time to 6:30, and it just still wasn't working. I was having to, I've got a dog, and it just wasn't working for me, and I did it for 10 months. And I just said, I can't do it no more. But I'm still on the books. If I ever want to go back, they said, we're more than willing to have you back. And the training they gave you was second to none. They kind of give you some really kind of good training.
And working with young sex offenders. And I've done a lot of work with sex offenders. I used to go into prisons a lot and do a lot of work. And people immediately have made a judgment, haven't they? As soon as you've said that, as soon as you've come out with that sex offenders, they've made a judgment about what that person's done or whatever. But in actual fact, sometimes it's just kids having sex that they shouldn't have at that age. It wasn't appropriate, if you see what I'm saying. But there's other things, obviously. But it's being open-minded enough to go in and support somebody who is just another human being that you're trying to help, like you said, to change their future and sometimes the future of other people. But a lot of people are put off just by that title, sex offender.
Yeah, people automatically go to the worst case scenario, right? Yeah. I know people who've slapped their colleague's bum in the workplace, and they've been nicked for it, and they've got the sex offender kind of label. And I'm not saying that that's okay, because it's not. But there's a difference, right?
Yeah, completely.
Difference.
Absolutely, completely. I mean, you know what it's like at our place sometimes, you know, people will have a laugh, but somebody might be offended by something like that. Not that people go around grabbing people's bottoms, but you do have those, you know, like I'd give you a nudge on the arm or something like that. Somebody might be offended by that.
Yeah.
You know, they might think that's you're assaulting somebody, where in actual fact it's not at all. It's done in complete jest. It's done, I don't know.
And I think, to be honest, I think the office is so intense that you need that.
Yeah. You
need that kind of, you know, every now and again a little bit of jokey, bit of banter within the team, because it's a high pressure. But for me anyway, I find it very high pressured. You know, you walk in that office and sometimes it's just like bam, bam, bam. You know, and you can't think, which is good in a nice way. Sometimes, you know, sometimes I finish the day and I'm like, wow, what happened there?
Where did the day go?
Yeah.
Well, yesterday I haven't been to work for a while, as you know, because I've not been very well, but I went in yesterday and we were comparing who's put on weight and who's lost weight. So we were walking
Fun
around.
Job.
Yeah, I know. While they were all munching on sandwiches. So, yeah.
Yeah.
And they're going, oh my gosh, you've lost so much weight, Angie. I went, I know. The joys of being sick.
Yes.
And I said to Sean, and you've put it all on. And he went, yes, I know. And he was really slim the last time I went
He's
in.
adamant that he's lost weight.
He has lost weight. He's lost loads of weight compared to what he was. But I saw him yesterday and I thought, you've put a load back on in a very in 3 weeks, because I haven't been in for 3 weeks. So yeah, it was like, wow. And he went, yeah, I know.
Because he was sat home watching the World Cup.
Of course, he's not been doing it. Yeah,
eating cake
and snacking and eating rubbish. Who's in the final now?
Oh, I don't know.
Argentina and France.
Is it?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah.
So we ask everybody this question towards the end of the podcast, and that is, what's a goal that you're going to set yourself for the next 12 months? And you're really fortunate because we're coming up to the end of the year, so lots of people set resolutions for the new year. So have you got a goal that you can share with us that you're hoping to achieve by this time next year, when we'll invite you back on the podcast and we can talk about how your year's been?
A goal. I mean, I've got plans. I've got a 5-year goal. I won't share that with you yet. But I mean, a goal, a plan.
Well, one of them's got to be getting your lovely dog onto a kayak.
Yeah, I was just thinking that. Yeah, I reckon get myself a kayak and go kayaking with the dog in the summer.
I really want to see photos of that. I think that'd be amazing.
Yeah, in fact, that's the goal.
Yeah.
And kind of my sponsor put it in my head about getting a camper van as well.
Okay.
I really like that idea, getting a camper. But that's not probably going to happen in a year. But
a bit further afield, but
yeah, I'm going to go with the kayak and the canoe.
Are you a mechanic? Are you?
No, I'm not practical.
You're not very
whatsoever.
practical like that.
I was never taught, or I'm not practical at all really. I'm learning, but no. Yeah.
It's hard, isn't it, when you become a grown up, and like, I mean, I used to change the oil on I used to have a really old Mini, and I could change the oil and I could change the plugs and I could do all of that, and I was quite practical. I always give an oil change every year, always could service my vehicle. I couldn't do it now on the car that I've got now because, well, the engine's in the middle of it. I don't even know how to get to the damned engine. Do you know what I'm saying? I can put oil in it and I can put water in it. In fact, I can't put oil in it. That's a complete lie because it's really funny how you have to do it. But if you've not been taught how to do that, you've not been given those skills, it's really quite difficult to then go, oh, I'm going to buy myself a camper van and I want to buy an old-fashioned, camper van, like a VW or something like that, and it's a clapped-out oil thing and I want to do it up, because where the hell do you start?
Yeah. Well, it's just, for a start, it's where do you do it? You know, you need a driveway and stuff like that that's got the space for it. You then need the tools and the list goes on. That's before you've even learned how to do something.
Yeah, I just think it's like, I look at Dave and he's so practical. So practical, and he's got all these skills that it's like...
I think that's what makes everybody unique, though, isn't it? Is that everyone's got slightly different skills.
I reckon. I suppose you'd start with asking for help, Angie.
Well, I'd have to. I'm afraid I'd put it in the garage and get the man to do it.
And I've got a friend of mine who's in recovery. designs sets for Batman. He's just designed a set for the Batman.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
Woodwork and stuff. So he'd be quite handy. And I'm sure if I asked him, he's an old school friend, we go back, that he'd come and show me and help me.
And he's in recovery too.
And it was bonus.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Only keep what you have by giving it away, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it.
Got to keep you sharing that
That's
one.
it. I'm selling that one.
Do you say?
Yeah.
It's a fellowship saying.
Oh, right.
It's a fellowship thing, Mike.
Yeah, sorry, you're not in the club.
Not in the club.
But do you know, I think that's sometimes the thing about recovery is sometimes people can feel excluded. I think, I remember when I first got well, that I went to meetings and it felt very cliquey and very, and in fact, recently, it's not anymore because they've changed the venue, but the venue that my home group was at, they had like an inner circle and an outer circle. And I was like, well, how did that happen? Do you know what I'm saying? Because that was never anything.
Yeah.
That wouldn't have happened.
It's excluding, right?
Yeah. But I think sometimes fellowships and stuff like that can feel a bit cliquey, and it puts people off.
And I think, my opinion of that is it's poor sponsorship.
Yeah.
It's poor guidance. I encourage my guys and I lead by example, that when some new guy turns up at my home group, I'm there.
Yeah.
How you doing, buddy? You all right? Cup of coffee?
Yeah.
What's happening?
Yeah.
Welcome. This is Steve, Dave, and I encourage that. And I'm even, if I don't see my sponsors doing that, I'll kind of give them a bit of a spiritual slap, if I'm honest. Just like my sponsor would with me.
Yeah.
Which is great. I mean, it's great that you've got that skill and that ability to do that, to be honest. I think there's lots of people that probably wouldn't be able to do that for one reason or another, or don't think to do that.
I do it all the time to you, don't I?
I mean, I think a lot of it's fear-based, right? People don't speak to people because they're in fear, or they're self-conscious, or they're worried about what others think, or they listen to the narrative in their own mind rather than kind of overriding that and doing the right thing. I think my experience by doing the right thing, it overrides what my mind says, and then what my mind says becomes easy to deal with.
But that's recovery though, isn't it? You've got to get through that hump first to be able to go, and now I'm going to do the complete opposite to what my mind's telling me to do.
Yeah.
And that takes quite a lot of courage to do that, and it's not something that happens overnight. And I think that's one of the things about counselling and like what the charity does, is that it gives people the space to be able to work that out for themselves, so they can come to the terms of, actually, this is what I want to be, this is who I want to be, as well as this is what I had experienced. It doesn't mean to say I have to then have that same experience in my next part of my life.
Yeah.
And I think that's the value of having counselling, as well as having good friends around you that can tell you the truth. Because I suppose, I know I'm gobby, and I know I say things as it is, and it makes people nervous until they get to know me, and then they realise that I'm not harmful.
No malice, yeah.
No, exactly. But I think it's not many people do that, and I think as a result of that, people end up never really knowing where they stand. That creates, to a certain degree, what you're talking about, that fear, the doubt, they don't get the reassurance because nobody's telling them the truth.
Yeah, and I suppose if you take that back to when I first started working,
Yeah.
I don't know if you know, but me and Angie had like 3 supervisions in 3 weeks.
Right.
So, and I came out of every supervision with my kind of like this. Just like, what happened there? I thought I was just going around for a nice little chat and a coffee. Yeah. And it was on the 3rd week that I thought, I can't do this. If I'm honest, I'm not putting up with this. And I remember speaking to my sponsor, I said, I can't do this. She's just digging me out all the time. And just, and then we looked, we looked at what's my part? What have in this whole situation, what have I done? How have I set this ball rolling for Angie to kind of be like this with me? And you weren't like anything. You were just telling me the truth and telling me to pull my socks up and toe the line. And as soon as I kind of looked at my part and looked at my attitude and looked at what I can change, all of a sudden I start doing better at work. All of a sudden I'm getting kind of affirmed by Victoria for what I'm doing. The team noticed my attitude's changed. And then all of a sudden my relationship with Angie's got a little bit better. I'm not so scared of you anymore. Because I was,
Yeah.
and And just in that process of looking at myself, it helped. And if you hadn't have done that, I probably wouldn't be working here right now.
But isn't that something that most people struggle with, is actually looking at themselves and not looking out? It's, you know, we are in a society where, you know, I turned the news on last night. I just flicked over the TV and the news was on. It was all about blame, 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 blame. There was no, actually, we've all got to cut back on our electricity and gas bills, otherwise we can't afford to do it. You can't afford to pay it. And actually, yes, we all get whatever money we get per month, and we've got to learn to live within our thing. It's the government's fault, it's this person's fault, it's that person's fault, it's that, you know, it's all that. But that bit of, and I think that creates fear and anxiety, and then pessimism steps in, and then before you know it, you start judging those people opposite you, instead of actually going, what's my part to play in all of this? What do I need to do to change to be able to make my life better and create a level of happiness around me, instead of expecting, say, Angie to make me happy? You've got to make yourself happy. You've got to do it.
It's about taking control of you, really, making sure that, you know, what you're doing and what you're achieving and what you've got problems with, you take hold of and try and find alternatives or solutions to.
Because I always think that it's about getting the best. So if you're not being your best person when you, say, rock up for work or whatever, and then a bit like what you were talking about, your 15-year-old lad that you were helping, it's a bit like you've got to do that. Your job is to go there and be the best person you can be, and show through example and communication and all of that. And I think if, like for the charity, if somebody's not doing their best, or for the rehab, if somebody's not doing their best, it's my job to say that needs to change, because fundamentally it permeates through the organisation. And before you know it, organisations that, same way as I do, organisations that end up losing their basic values and principles, and then people get treated badly, and then before you know it, everybody's dying, or because it is life or death, isn't it? And I think that's the thing and that's why I always do take responsibility, and will always say what I've got to say. I know, and sometimes people don't like to hear it, but actually I don't mind it if you say it to me.
It's the right thing to do.
It's the right thing to do.
I don't think there's enough people like that. You know, it's like, I don't think your average Joe will take stock and take inventory and look at self. You know, most people kind of look outwards. That's just society, right? We look out, we blame. I think if more people were doing what you were saying, kind of stopping, taking stock, actually looking at their part in the whole situation of whatever's going on, and if we all did that, then I'm pretty sure the world would be a better place.
Yeah.
And that sounds a bit corny, I know.
No, I don't think it does at all. I think it's very real. I want the best for you, and I want you to see that you're not doing your best, if you see what I'm saying. And I mean that for everybody. I want the best for that person, whatever the circumstances are. I want the best for that person, so that they can then have just a little bit of what I've got. You know, I just think if anybody can have a tenth of what I've got, wow, I'm so lucky. And I am so lucky. I know I am. And it's all done through hard work, honesty and openness and all of that. I mean, I was homeless when I left treatment, on the streets. That was the reality. And I think that's the thing. People don't see that, do they? They see what you present. So they see that you've got nice properties and you live in a nice house and da-da-da. But they don't know what's behind that. And they don't also know what's behind your today life as well.
That's right.
They don't, I mean, people must judge you because you're full of tattoos. They'll make an automatic. People make an automatic 100%. Judgment.
When I landed in treatment, and the guys told me this when I graduated, they thought I was a football thug, aggressive, angry, and all that stuff.
You're the least aggressive and angry man I've ever met.
When people get to know me, they realise that I'm just a gentle dude. But sometimes there's a part of me that likes that. I like to be a little bit different. I like to be a little bit. I don't know. I just like that. But yeah, I get judged. People don't openly say that. I find out after the fact.
Yeah.
Once they've got to know me, I really judged you when I saw you. And, they never judge me to my face. But, I mean, it's just how it is. Society today is more accepting of tattoos now. You know, going to Tesco's, you see the woman with, like, love hate on her hands, or, just or some really nice kind of stuff on the side of her face. Or, I think society's more accepting for that now.
Are you covered from head to toe?
I'm a work in progress, Angie. So I'm covered from here, all the whole front.
Yeah.
Arms, got a big thing on my back, and
Yeah.
I'm slowly working on my legs at the moment. I've just entered a raffle for my tattoo artist. So she's put a raffle, 1 in 45 chance to win a whole day's sitting.
Nice.
So I bought 4 tickets.
I won
Good
a
luck.
raffle at the local tattoo place
Did
in
you?
Highbridge. Yeah, I won the
What did you
first
win?
prize.
To have a tattoo.
To have a tattoo.
When are you
You're
going
gonna
to
have
get
one?
it done?
I gave it to Mandy.
Oh.
I couldn't. I can't. I'm not very good at people hurting me. So in any way, shape, or form, it just takes me straight back. I just cannot. And it's I can't go to the chiropractor and have normal chiropractor work. He has to use a machine because I just cannot. He cannot. First time I went, I punched him.
I bet he loved you.
We laugh about it, and he will say that to most people that know that I introduced them to him.
Yeah, he
They
told
go,
me.
yeah, he told you that, didn't he? But yeah, so no, so I can't do it. I think the only tattoo I'd probably ever have is just have Dave's name put underneath my wedding ring,
That'd be nice.
and that would be a big step for me to do that, a really big step.
Maybe that can be your goal for the year.
No, no.
Well, I'm conscious of time, so shall we end it there?
Are you happy?
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
It's been
thank
brilliant,
you.
really brilliant.
Thank you for having me.
No, have you enjoyed it?
I mean, got to be honest, I was a bit nervous at first. Oh God, and what to expect, all that kind of stuff. But it's been different.
Good fun.
Yeah, get
Good
out
to
of my
know you more.
comfort zone. Yeah, it's been all right.
And if you know anybody that wants to come on, give us a shout.
I've got a long list. No, I think we should get Sean on here.
Yeah, we know. We're going to do that. Everybody keeps asking for Sean.
Yeah.
We will have Sean on here. But it's just getting